Welcome to the CQC video tutorial series. This is video 7, Overlay Navigation. In this video, we're going to pick up where we left off in the previous video, which was in basic navigation. And this time we're going to introduce a new scheme for navigation that is considerably more advanced and avoids all the problems that we mentioned at the end of the previous video. So watch that if you haven't already. And as we did before, where we created a nav1 scope for our content, in this case I'm going to create a nav2 scope for the second version. And I'm going to create a file called main. And what we want to avoid here is the reuse of a base template over and over again, because as we mentioned, we might want to have common content on that base template, and we don't want to have to replicate that over and over and manage that over time. So the trick here is to be able to reuse some part of this screen to load up other templates into, and that is something that is accomplished using an overlay. So once again, I'm going to size this down a little so that we can see it here. And I'm going to create an overlay, and it is new containers and overlay. And once again, this is off your screen, sorry. And I will size it up about here and over here so that it fits more or less the screen. And this leaves us some space at the top where we could potentially put some common information, and some space at the bottom where we can put some buttons. Actually, we can probably size it up a little bit more there. And now we need to give that an ID because we're going to send commands to it. So we'll just call it main overlay. And by the way, all of this is just default appearance. You can make this look any way you want. If you didn't want the border, we could get rid of that. In this case, it serves as a good delineation for us to know where that overlay is. So let's actually now create some smaller templates to load. So what is this? This is, let's make that a little more even. So we'll say 626 by 318. So we want to create our smaller templates that size. So 636, I'll copy that so we can reuse it here in a minute. 636 by 318. So let's create a new one. And as before, we'll call this one 1. And let's size that to the size that we saved. And also, as before, we'll just put some text on here to identify it. So new text, static text. And we'll size it up and call this one 1. And we'll size up the text a bit. And in this case, I'll just use a hotkey, Control-Alt-H, to adjust the horizontal justification. Okay, so we have a 1 there. Let's save that. And let's copy and paste it to a 2. So that we have 2 of them to work with. And let's edit the text of 2. Okay, so now basically all we need to do is to arrange to be able to load those into this overlay. So let's create some buttons like we did before. So I will do, let me move over again so you can see it. New buttons, command button. And I'll pull it over to here, and we'll call this one 1. And in the action, what we'll do is send a command to the overlay. So in this case, if you see this line here, anything above is a standard target, anything below is a named widget when you're working within the interface system anyway. And we want the command load overlay. And we need to pick a name to load, the name of a template to load. So click the helper button, and we'll select nav21. So that's the one we want to load. And that's all we need there. And let's copy that and paste it. And let's call this one 2. And we just need to change the action as we did before, a basic change, just to change it to 2 instead of 1. So that's it. Let's make sure we got everything saved there. And now let's go to the interface viewer. And it's still showing the one that we did before. So let's load up our new one. And that will be nav2 main. And now if we click 1, we'll see 1. And if we click 2, we'll see 2. So what we've done now is just taken the widgets that were in those 2 templates and basically just copied them out into this overlay area so that we are effectively just treating this overlay area as a reusable space. And obviously another thing you would like to do in most cases is to have some initial content in that area. And you can do that by just selecting the overlay and down here in the initial load attribute, to select one that you want it to load first. So we'll just select one. And that would cause it, upon initial load, to have template 1 loaded into the overlay. Can't really demonstrate that here because it's already loaded, but that's what would happen. Or actually, I guess we could. Let's do it. You will generally want to turn off this option here, enable template cache, when you are debugging, because this allows the viewer to cache templates, and you may not see changes if that's turned on. It would keep them for a certain length of time. So now if I go to reload, you can see that it reloaded and came up with 1 as the initial template. So that's it. That is the way the overlays work, and this is almost always how it's done, or at least the overlay part is. You may or may not use buttons. There are other schemes that you might use as a menu, and we'll explore some of those in a subsequent video down the line. But for now, this is very commonly done. These buttons may not even look like buttons, actually. They may look more like a toolbar type of thing, but effectively just be buttons. But this is almost always what would be done. You could have common information up here, or maybe you choose to size the overlay down horizontally and have common information across the side, whatever you'd like to do. And also be aware that they can be nested as well. So one of these templates that we load could in turn have other overlays within it, which it allows to load and so forth. So it's a very flexible mechanism. And so try this out and see what you can make of it. And once you've gotten to this point, you can actually do some quite realistic navigation scenarios that you would probably want to keep and use. So we'll see you in the next video.